Hey, what's going on, everyone? You guys smell that, baby? You guys smell that? It's freaking football season, man. Beautiful day here in Northern California. And man, when I hear these big names talking about football back on radio, you know it's football season, baby. So, listening to 95.7 The Game today, and one of my favorites, Sean Salisbury, out there talking about Brock Purdy. Now, he's one of the guys that came up right away and said, hey, man, this guy's he's a stud. And even though the mainstream media out there, pretty much a lot of them hating Sean Salisbury, he's one of the original OGs that were out there saying, you know what, hey, this guy's the man, you know. And for those who don't know, Sean Salisbury, back in the 2000s, he was like one of the faces of ESPN, man. But this is what he had to say about Brock Purdy and what he expects out of year 3, man.
The bandwidth with him, and I think they're starting to expand it. I think we get this feeling of, well, he can't make all the throws because he's not big and physical. That's wrong. He can, where he makes up with maybe not have overpowering arm strength or that superstar, when I talk about just freak show ability. He's underrated as a runner. We know his toughness. I just think for me, it's putting himself in more mental and emotional and that part of the game of understanding where all the conflicts are on a defense. Because a guy like him, who isn't, like I said, if we had a superstars competition, he's not going to win it, but he's going to do everything well. And I'm such a fan, and I love his. You can't question a guy who's the last pick of a draft's toughness and working through a first-round pick and finding his way there and doing his thing. So I'm not worried about that with him. I think it's situational football for me of just making sure. Because, Mark, when you're in this, people look at the big physical guy who can make all certain throws into a coffee can size window. When I say physically limited, it's not that Brock. I think we underrate his physical skills, but he's not that super. The howitzer arm and all those things. So he's got to stay ahead of the game with knowing where the conflict is even quicker. You listen to Brady talk about what made him great, even aside from some of the obvious tangible ones, was his ability to know the defense pre-snap, and then you execute post-snap. I tell kids that I train all the time this. Listen, find the conflict, whether it's in your life or whether it's in a defense. Find the conflict. And when we're looking at defenses, once you know the conflict, the answers to the test are pretty easy if you've prepared. If I give you the SAT test 2 months before the SAT test, then it's on you to make sure doing all that, studying the answers to get yourself ready to get a perfect score on it so you can go to any college you want. Same thing here. So for me, it's just the constant development in understanding what coverages are trying to do, not only to Brock Purdy, but also to the 49ers as an offense and their offensive approach. And one last thing, even at Brock, 3 years in the league, MVP candidate, all that, I still continue to spend time with my own defensive coordinator and ask him, how would you defend us? And what's the key? What do you see with me? An hour a week, not just offensive, but defense. Spend it with defensive staff, because I think there is another level to his game, and the fact that he's got great timing and understands that, it's all going to be, once he grasps even more what's going on and how they're trying to stop him and this offense, you get ahead of it and you're out in front of it, and you're having great vision. And you know what I mean by vision, but vision being out in front of the next read and the next read and the next defense, and week after week, and sustaining that. I think there's another level to Brock Purdy's game, and I already hold him in high regard. And we should have expectations for him because he's proven it, but his toughness is not in question, mental or physical.
All right, man. So I like it, man. I really liked what he had to say. And what he had to say kind of was very similar to what Mike Holmgren said. Year 3, man. That's where it should be able to kick off, and that's where it really comes. That's when the real beauty starts, you know. So that's what I remember him saying on KNBR last year. Sean Salisbury saying the same exact thing, man. He's expecting a little bit more from him. It's all about mental right here, those mental reps, having that good, strong vision of the field, not knowing exactly what you're going to do, kind of like how Peyton Manning was, he was saying. 100% agree, man. I really am expecting more stuff from Brock Purdy. Now, I know a lot of people kind of are freaking out because of the interceptions in training camp, but he did the exact same thing last year. He was throwing quite a bit of interceptions. He cut that down during the season. But one thing I did love about training camp, though, yes, he was throwing interceptions in training camp last 2 seasons. However, he still was making big-time plays, man. He was still taking shots down the field. It took a while early to start making these deep shots down the field, but once it got going, man, it was pretty consistent. It seemed like every day it was like another big throw, whether it would have been to Deebo Samuel, Jawan Jennings, even Ricky Purcell before he got hurt. He had a nice bomb too from Brock Purdy. So, and Cowling as to out. I think Cowling's gonna have a few deep shots from Purdy this year, but I'm expecting more from him. Hopefully cut down those interceptions a little bit, see the field a little bit better. But overall, man, he was almost MVP candidate last year, and now we're expecting more from him. And I truly believe he's gonna do it, man. I really feel that he's getting better, man. Obviously, he put in the work this offseason, got a little bigger, got a little stronger. Watching film, this guy's he's like a workout junkie, man. He loves working out. He loves watching film. So I'm expecting a lot from him. I really am. And kudos to all those guys that have been sticking with Purdy through thick and thin, man. Especially last year during that 3-game losing streak. Oh my gosh, I had to stop watching YouTube for a minute, man, because after that 3-game losing streak, went on a bye. It seemed like the world was falling, man. People were just ripping, and Purdy, man, he didn't care, man. He wasn't listening to that stuff. He was out in Iowa freaking farming. That shows the grit from this dude, man. He's not listening to the outside noise, whatever, all the haters out there. He's just doing his thing. So I love it, man. I love Sean Salisbury saying this stuff, and all these guys right there, the guys that played the game, that coached the game, they know what the hell they're talking about, man. They're the ones that are like, dude, this guy's got it. He's not the biggest, not the strongest, but he's accurate as hell, and he knows where to throw the damn ball. He knows exactly which read, where to find it. He's good at that. So, kudos to these guys, man. Mark Holmgren, Salisbury, who else is out there? Even Orlowski, he wasn't the greatest quarterback either, but a lot of these guys, man, Manny Wacho, these guys know what they're talking about, man. So I'm expecting it, man, and I know, last year I said he would be a Pro Bowler before the season started. Damn. All Pro? That's going to be tough. I'm trying to think right now. All Pro fudge. He would have to really sling that ball. And we're not really a throw that ball as much. I think we're 32nd throwing the ball, so no, probably won't be that All Pro. But I'm expecting Pro Bowl again this year. Right? Pro Bowl, and hopefully he's not playing the Pro Bowl, man, because I want another shot at that ring, man. I want another shot to get that Super Bowl. I thought he played solid in the Super Bowl, but now he's got to take it up to that next level, take it to that next level and just take control of that game, So I think he could do it, man. He did that in the playoffs, man. Lions, Packers, that was legendary right there. So he's got that playoff grind, that playoff experience, and I don't think he's afraid of the big moment, man. He's not afraid of the big moment at all, and this is year 3, man. This is where guys really took off. This is where Peyton Manning took off, Tom Brady, even say Joe Montana, because those first few years of Joe Montana, even though it wasn't during my time, watching the highlights, it was like year 3 where we finally got it going. The first 2 years kind of we were a laughing stock out there with Joe and Bill Walsh, but after that, man, it got going. So this right here, it's going to be such a big year. I know he knows it, man. How many times do we got those guys that have that go on that contract where it's like contract year and they ball out? I don't expect anything else from Purdy, man. He was putting in the work. He wants to get that big fat contract out there, so he's doing his thing, man. So we'll see what happens. That's what I got. Let me know what you think about Brock Purdy, what Sean has to say. Like, comment, subscribe. Talk to you next time.